HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents Bloomland by John Englehardt. Read by Charlie Thurston. Be okay. It will be okay. Rose. 6 years before college, you are under a queen-sized mattress with your grandma and brother. A cold front has descended from the Rocky Mountains into the plains of Arkansas, where you live in a house with no basement. Just minutes ago, you walked barefoot into the street and beheld a half-mile-wide funnel cloud cutting across the horizon. The strangest gray you've ever seen. A sort of whirling, irradiated charcoal. Grandma told you to put on shoes and get under the mattress, and now she's reciting the Lord's Prayer. You are listening to hectoring gusts of wind, pictures and pill bottles smashing against the wall. Even under the mattress, you can tell when you're beneath a giant shadow. Grandma says not to grab hold of the mattress if it slips away. But when the walls heave outward and the mattress ascends, you can't help but grab after it. You are airborne and tumbling, swapping backdrops. Earth, sky, earth, sky, earth. At some point you see a brown trail of destruction wending across the green countryside. Your body lands on dirt, but the wind skips and drags you across it until you hit a retaining wall, which is actually your neighbor's house that has been reduced to a slab of concrete. Your face hits it, fracturing your skull and breaking your nose, but you don't feel that yet. You stand up. It's quiet, the sky a floating junkyard. A banker's chair, chimney bricks, 100-pound manhole. Full-bloomed poplar tree. A garage door spinning like a frisbee into the distance. You don't know where to stand, but that's irrelevant because the wind is pushing you. Your heels dig into the ground. Sideways debris stabs into your skin like candles into a birthday cake. When it stops, sirens blare in the distance. RVs from the dealership down the road lie in ditches, shredded like paper. Amidst the ruin, you find your grandmother, who at first is just a wad of disorderly gray hair, her body half covered by a sheet of particle board. You pull her out and dust her off, but she doesn't respond to your touch. Eventually, you scan the landscape for your brother, slowly realizing how lucky you were to find anything at all in this mosaic of rubble. Your mom, who was shuffling cards at the casino in Ala Vista when the tornado hit, shows up in her truck, and she drives you to a medical triage outside the Dollar General, where they poorly sew up the gash on your forehead and take all the debris out of your back. One thing they find is a metal pin engraved with the words Mel's Logging Company, In God We Trust, which will be attached to your backpack when I meet you for the first time many years from now. Your mother takes you to live at her boyfriend's house, and over the course of the next year, she locks herself in the bathroom more and more. She treats you like a hole in the floor she has learned to avoid. She is harnessed to the couch with cheap rum, watching movies like Home for the Holidays in mid-July. Her boyfriend is a forklift operator who sleeps on a waterbed and obsessively collects bottle caps, supposedly for some kind of art project. He watches you sweep the kitchen like there's something inside you he's about to disinter. Then one day he disappears, and your mom is alone in his room, yelling at a part of herself who cannot hear, surrounded by dirty clothes and cat litter ground into the carpet. During this time, one of your teachers learns that you're stealing rolls of toilet paper from school to take home, and then CPS gets involved. Then it's foster homes. Edges of familial units, high school vicissitudes until finally you get adoptive parents. You change your name to Rose, work at the Baskin-Robbins and the mall, use your 4-H leadership experience to qualify for a poultry science scholarship at Ozarka University, a flagship state school tucked away against one of the oldest mountain ranges in North America, where there never has been an F5 tornado, as far as you know. When you visit, it's a land of white mansions on the edge of campus, yellow trumpets of daffodils, gigantic porch settees, and blonde girls walking in groups, all wearing the same high-waisted jean shorts. When you see how they study under dim chandeliers and cheer for the Ozarka Raccoon football team, you decide you want to join a sorority. Your adoptive parents advise against it, but you've been saving money scooping ice cream. You have enough to pay for annual dues. Fall arrives and you rush. You buy the right clothes, force smile so much that your face hurts. You line up and get honked at by every Jeep and scooter-driving male in the vicinity. You get into one of the most prestigious sororities, Beta Omega Kappa. The truth is, they think you're pretty. Someone even says that scar on your forehead is charming, that it rips apart the conventionality of a pretty face. And you're calculating. You bury your accent, say that would be lovely like it's a catchphrase. You explain that you're originally from Alaska, though your only connection to that place is your biological father, who spent 2 summers there on fishing boats. You deflect unwanted attention by interrogating others. You learn to act like you're at the center of a small universe to which everyone else belongs. So you stand there on the immaculate lawn with your sisters in matching white mini dresses 2 days before school starts. And they are teaching you the Boke cheer, which has a refrain that goes like this: "Be okay. It will be okay." Amidst the high-spirited unison, you remember that all your life you wanted to be this brand of normal. Carefree, upper class, and virtuous by means of your inaccessibility, but you couldn't be. You imagined this normalcy as down some declivity in your heart, something you always had but could never reach. It was like growing up with an ocean outside of your bedroom window that disappeared when you looked at it. But now, on the Boke lawn, you feel like you are wading into its waters for the first time, and you are finding it is warm, and the sand is fine. At first you are overwhelmed by the frenetic 450-acre campus. There are tanning wipes and condoms and vending machines, pasta bars, students conducting Bible study in coffee shops, reading verse from iPhones, holding hands to pray while their legs squirm beneath tables. Hours worth of coiffed hair, lurid binge drinking. And when you go to see your advisor in the Don Butler Center for Poultry Excellence building, you walk past an 8-foot bronze statue of a rooster, wearing what looks like a crown of thorns on its head. Everything is hallowed. Everyone wants to know your name. But when classes start, you find out that all your professors are burned-out teaching assistants who give you worksheets, overuse PowerPoint, speak in fake authoritarian voices, or otherwise solicit class participation like manic-depressive game show hosts. Students shop for portable hammocks and watch cooking shows on their phones during lecture. Sometimes you feel as if you're learning what you studied in high school, just in bigger rooms with nicer computers. One of these classes is Eddie Bishop's section of English 120. His teaching style is one of controlled outrage, directed at everything except the students sitting before him, whom he attempts to level with. When his class ends, you walk out of Campbell Hall onto the cobbled road. It's late in the day, so campus no longer looks like a bad TV show. There are no boys shouting from luxury SUVs. There are no officious help a raccoon stations, no high fives, no slow-walking athletes, no student ministers standing on 5-gallon buckets, duct tape over mouths, holding signs that say, "I will not be silent about my faith." No, it's just you under the sunset's dying lushness, the brutalist stone buildings. On these evenings, Eddie's lectures sometimes give you an emptied-out feeling, like you are unlearning the things you thought you knew. You decide this is what you were looking for when you came to a university. One day, Eddie makes everyone read a short story about a girl with a wooden leg who decides to be ugly. She changes her name to Holga, studies philosophy, wears skirts with horses on them. Eddie says she wants ugliness to create a new self. She succeeds until a Bible salesman tricks her and steals her fake leg. You read a paragraph aloud in class, the one with her stranded and one-legged in a barn. Then you raise your hand and say that the ugly girl no longer clings to her ugliness. She's just sad. Eddie nods. "We have to consider," he says, now pacing past the empty first row, "that our personalities are deep wells into which the world will drop ideas, desires, even other people. So you have to be careful. You have to know what was down there in the first place." This is when you begin to fear the thing you made inside yourself. You spend as much time on schoolwork as you do making posters with glitter glue. You always need a date. You've been tanning, and the fair-skinned girls are starting to ask if you're mixed with something, as in Mexican, though they often guess Italian. At parties, older boys hand you drinks they made in other rooms. They take you out onto sleeping porches and tell you not to be so stingy with your body. It all feels like the story about the ugly girl, except reversed. All of this does not completely metastasize until a representative from Slender Tone Fitness comes to the sorority. She has bins filled with bands that fit around your stomach and legs, sending shocks to your muscles to tone them. All the sisters who are infinitesimally overweight are named, encouraged to buy, and they do. You're not one of the fat ones, but after this encounter you feel that your routine of long jogs and avoiding chicken finger Fridays wasn't for yourself after all, but was actually in preparation for this moment. Nowadays, even the things you thought you did for yourself were not. They were the normal person you were creating, who is now metamorphosing within you. Amidst all this, you think increasingly about your family. Some memories emerge so clearly from those hard-scrabble days that you experience them again as if for the first time. At 12 years old, you are with your mother at the mall, and you are watching her talk to the boy selling phones at the Verizon kiosk. Your mother asks for the cheapest one, fumbling with her welfare card, and the tattooed, multi-earringed boy grabs a clamshell phone from the case, price matches it to another store, and gives it to your mother for free. On the way home, you consider the dirty summer dress your mother is wearing, the blue one swimming with cartoon fishes, in your own decaying shoes and barely healed forehead, and you decide you look like someone who needs to be given things. You spend so much time evaluating boys the same age your brother would be that you become a connoisseur. Their posture, hair thickness, the shoulder from which their backpack hangs. One afternoon, you see a skinny, dark-haired boy in the park, eating a torta from La Super Quesadilla, his green flannel tucked into jeans. How the bright sun makes the grass around him look blanched. Is that him, staring ambiguously past the swings in your direction? That night, you lie awake in your dorm with your laptop, studying your old neighborhood with Google Street View. And you find that the cameras haven't been back since the tornado hit. You click past your grandmother's house, the waist-high chain-link fence before the unkempt grass, sagging gutters, and chewed-up screen door. You click on the arrows until you're down at the supermercado you used to walk to with your brother. And when you see two figures with garbled faces walking at a crosswalk, sodas in hand, you cry so hard you can feel it deep in your jaw. Lately, you've been feeling best when working on your term paper for Eddie's class. You've decided to write about the ugly girl, about the artificial things we lean on like beauty and religion. You read Malebranche, study nihilism, meet with Eddie one-on-one in places like Starbucks and Slim Chickens because he doesn't like his office. He says things like, good stories have no meaning, and you have to consider education as artifice. It all feels a little absurd, but at least it's an absurdity you're free to imitate. When you hand in the paper on the last day of class, all you can think about is getting it back. You will sit beside Eddie at a small coffee table, wearing a dress that you hope makes you look professional, all of your papers neatly aligned in a binder. At some point, his admiration will overflow, and he'll say something off-kilter, something like, "You have no idea who you are." But he will say it like a compliment. He will use words like incomparable, exacting, perigee. You will walk with him across the anodyne campus and into the afterlife of the person you once were. This is what happens instead. A student walks into the library during finals week with a modified Chinese-type SKS assault rifle, then opens fire, killing 11 students and an instructor. All campus activities are suspended for a week. And during this time you hear a rumor that he left behind a video the FBI will not release. Barbara Walters comes out of retirement to interview the father of the shooter on primetime television. News teams book every hotel room in the city limits, and everyone keeps saying tragedy with vague disdain, as if the shooting was just a mad dream, not some kid adding his personal darkness to a collective shadow that had already spread across our lives. Still, at night, when you overhear prayers through the vents, you clasp your hands and listen. You sleep with the blinds closed and the fluorescent lights on. When the university publishes a list of the victims, you find out that one of them is Casey Bishop, Eddie's wife. You go online to confirm this, and find a picture of 3 people on a hiking trip, standing with their backs turned to a bluff line somewhere in the Ozarks. One of them is unmistakably Eddie, with his precise beard and thin flyaway hair. The other 2 people you don't know. Me, with an overblown smirk, the kind that now belongs to an abandoned version of myself. And Casey, wearing a billowy sweater, bangs cutting across her eyes. She's baring her teeth like she is half smiling, half preparing to battle the stranger we asked to take the photo. You look too long and she becomes fixed. The way dead people become their own archetypes. How they take you back to the honeysuckle and azaleas and lichen-covered rocks and rolling hills that surrounded them. Back there, time is so habitable. It is infinite. On the day campus reopens, you want to walk to the English department to see if your paper will be there, wondering if Eddie graded them before all this happened. But you're afraid of campus. Everyone is. Eventually, you rationalize that this is probably the safest the campus will ever be. So you step onto the bright sidewalks, past a media cavalcade at the on-campus hotel, where news helicopters buzz overhead. Your paper is in a box on the floor with 60 others. There are a few sentences underlined, and on the back page, scrawled in blue ink, Eddie has written, "This paper is beautiful." The irony of such a statement is not lost on you. It makes you think there is some critique embedded in it, like your paper is beautiful in the same way that the ugly girl is ugly. So you walk back to your dorm, through a campus that has police officers leering down every corridor. It is winter now, and cresting one hill you can see the far-reaching gray of lifeless trees, undulating over hilltops and eventually into the delta. The cemeteries and chicken houses, the puddled roofs of Walmarts, Baptist churches with helicopter pads, and into the plains where you'll spend the next 3 months over Christmas break. You planned to feel excited, incubated, to sleep like you're in a childhood room, to smile straight into the pageantry of university life. Instead, college feels like a roller coaster that disappeared before ascending its first peak, one that has left you staring down onto the world from a stranded place in the sky. What got you here will not get you to your future. Eddie. The most unflagging woman you will ever meet enters your life during sophomore year of college, the same time you stop believing in God. What this means is that the zealotry that has been ingrained in you, the kind that has involved obsessing over sin and faith and the fact that Jesus should be the only fixed point of reference in the dark room of your life, can be directed at something else now. Her name is Casey. You are watching her square dance in a living room with all the furniture pushed against the walls, slowly realizing that you recognize her as the unabashed pregnant teenager character from a university theater production. This makes the disorganized grace of her dancing, her black wavy hair, and the cream-colored skirt she wears, that you will later describe as kindergarten teacher chic, seem both familiar and new. When the dance ends, you follow her to the back porch, quietly preparing a compliment on her acting. Everyone is sweating, drinking wine from mason jars, looking past ancient stands of cypress trees and into the scattered stones of a Confederate cemetery. Other than telling her your name is Eddie, you won't remember what exactly you say. But you will remember how unique this moment feels. Like two swimmers from separate shores meeting in the open water. The two of you talk and promenade and swing your corners until the only people left at the party are the hosts and an irascible drunk who keeps asking to play the banjo. Then you walk her back to her apartment, where you talk until the sun comes up, hoping to obscure the fact that you are too nervous for falling asleep or going home or kissing. It is an anxiety that, as a well-adjusted adult, you will yearn for but not experience again. The next day you wake up to the sound of something gigantic coming at you. At first it is a faint squabbling whoop sung by a chorus of ghosts, and then it gets louder, becoming a tornado of screams that you worry is the sound of your soul getting sucked out of the world and into a canyon of hell. But then the yells turn into a cheer. Ozarka raccoons, go! You realize it is homecoming weekend. Casey is asleep on the carpet beside the couch. Soon you can hear music blaring from a fraternity down the street, which alternates between glossy Americana and dance club ass worship. Casey wakes up. We have to get out of here, she says. In terms of identity, you are learning how easy it is to cross from one territory into another. Just last year you would have gone to church on a day like this one, stood in a sea of khakis and listened to Pastor Ronnie Boyd deliver a sermon titled What Got You Here Will Not Get You to Your Future, which you will later classify as just another cryptic, pseudo-intellectual way to rant about sin and convince you to hate the choices you've made your entire life. Afterward, you would have changed out of your khakis into jeans and a raccoon t-shirt, got drunk at a tailgate party, and evaluated sorority girls with that normalized tone of scorn/adoration. You even would have cheered when a jeep drove by parading a flag with a crude drawing of a muscular raccoon sexually dominating University of Alabama's cartoon elephant, Big Al. But instead you are waking up late, hungover and unshowered. You are riding in the passenger seat with a girl singing along to the Velvet Underground, a girl who keeps bones of dead animals on the dashboard for good luck. At the edge of town, the smell in the air shifts from barbecue sauce to chicken shit. Casey drives past fields of yellow flowers, hot armadillo carcasses, feed mills, burnt mansions, onto dirt roads and over rainwater stream beds. She says she wants to stop by her parents' property, an organic farm that sounds quaint until you arrive at a wood-paneled double-wide beyond which wild packs of dogs lurk, waiting to take down cattle, and into her parents' living room/dining room/kitchen, where she is rummaging through drawers looking for their stash of pot. After you smoke a bowl, Casey takes you to a drive-in at the edge of the shuttered town square. She buys fried pickles and butterscotch shakes, then parks her car on top of Pension Mountain. Out here, airplane navigation lights lacerate the sky, and she tells you about the owner of Butler Chicken Company, who apparently has a private airport he only uses at sundown. Human trafficking? You ask. Definitely, she says. But you should be careful with that term. It has been co-opted by people who oppose sex workers in general. You could give me a pickle for a blowjob and be arrested for human trafficking. I had no idea, you say, no longer comfortable holding the pickles in your lap. You set them on the dash, stare out into the reddening clouds. At this point, you convince yourself that you might love Casey, though years later you will look back at this moment and regret how obvious and shallow you were, how the manic beauty you admired in her was just an attempt to possess what you viewed to be your opposite, how labeling her a quirky girl meant you didn't have to take her seriously. "Do you think I talk too much?" she says after a long silence, with an edge of hostility. "Absolutely not," you respond. And right now you mean it. She is speaking to you like she just got rescued from a deserted island, like she's never really been able to share her life with someone. And here you are, finally. And as the flushed hills of autumn peel away into a sunset that's still wavy with heat, you feel as if your heart will never vacillate again. In those early days, sometimes you still reach after the disappearing beacon of God. You pray the sinner's prayer in your sleep. You take long showers after sex, your still tumescent cock throbbing with guilt. Then you get comfortable enough around Casey to redirect your psychic energy, and instead of brooding over things like the doctrine of total depravity, you put your energy into loving and supporting another person. When Casey decides to cut her hair short, you do it for her. You buy her presents. You edit her English papers. You say, "I don't care if you don't shave your armpits." She says, "Your cum is translucent, like I'm looking at the moon." When you tell her about the recurring nightmare you have of your father shouting, "Are you or are you not on fire for God, faggot?" she says that's awful, and you are not a freak, and it is normal, considering all you have been through. Then, at a certain point, you realize how completely you have turned your back on Jesus Christ, replacing him with a girl. You don't care. The de-numbed and elated mood you're in with Casey feels like it has been with you all your life. It takes no effort to believe it exists. Over the course of the next 2 years, this is how you know your love is sustainable. You will be walking to your poetry seminar, and you'll see Casey alone, through the large magnolia trees that look like freeze-frame explosions, and she will look sad. You will watch from the audience as she plays a partly crippled mental patient in a Sam Shepard play. You will listen as she talks to her sister, and they will laugh at the same time in the exact same way. These moments give you a seeing your elementary school teacher in the supermarket feeling. You can't believe she's real, especially not outside the context of your relationship. It will make you think how many aspects of this person are, at this point in your relationship, impossible for you to know. That is love, you think. That's it. So you get married. And not because it's financially practical, it's not. Or because your parents want it, fuck them. Or even because it feels right, it doesn't. But because your feelings are so strong that they scare you. They need to be contained somehow. I still think about you two every time one of my students gets engaged. The cynic in me is honestly happy for them, as I would have been for you. Because in the end, what better or worse chance did you and Casey have than the rest of us? The year before you graduate college, before both of you get rejected by every master's program except the one at Ozarka, you move in together. You live in a small stone house at the edge of campus, one with a metal roof and a basement inhabited by camel crickets. Not much seems to change, except you hang around when Casey has incapacitating migraines, and you find it funny when she smears Bengay all over her face until it is numb. You pick up her prescriptions at the Walmart on campus. You carry her around the house after she breaks her leg painting Juliet's balcony at the theater, and exhaust break-a-leg jokes until she starts slapping you. But you have a few worries. For example, the worry that you and Casey are actually too supportive, and that this supportiveness fosters a kind of instant gratification dynamic, so that the moment you feel a thing, you are done feeling it. Or the worry that the same thing is happening with love that it did with God.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?